Hello and welcome to another episode of Angel Insights, the show that goes deep to the world of early stage investing. I'm your host, Tom Britton, and today I'm honored to be joined by Angela Cretu, former global CEO of Avon. Angela spent an incredible 25 years at Avon, rising from sales manager all the way up to CEO, where she led a dramatic turnaround of a business that many predicted would go bankrupt. On today's episode, we'll explore how her crisis leadership experience helps her spot resilient founders, what her network-based business expertise reveals about startup claims, and the psychology of transitioning from running a global empire to backing early-stage companies. But enough from me, let's welcome Angela to the show. Angela, it's absolutely a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us today. You have a fantastic career that I want to talk about. You spent 25 years at Avon. You worked your way from being sales-focused to CEO and actually being voted the best people-focused CEO of the year. If we could wind back to the very start of it, what got you interested in working at Avon in the first place?
That's a beautiful question because what triggered me was the fact that the job announcement, it was in a newspaper at that time, if you could imagine, a job posting in a newspaper, not like nowadays. And what really triggered my curiosity was the fact that the announcement was not about the job description, but first about the purpose of the company. And all other companies would have very technical vacancies, but this one talked about being a movement, yes, for women empowerment, which for me at that time, I was fresh graduate from cybernetics, already working in sales and marketing with junior roles. It really triggered my curiosity. I really wanted to find out more about this company that took pride adding meaningful value to communities of women around the world.
When you joined, did you have a sense that they lived up to that mission and that you were going to be there for the long haul, or was it?
No, imagine at that time, I was very young. I was thinking I will be for a few years, I will be learning from the company and then move on and do something else. Moreover, I would hear stories of people who were at that time for 10, 15 years in the company. And I would think, honestly, look at these dinosaurs. What would they stay for? But I did fall in love, and it ended up to be 25 years of my life, moving from a country to another, from a role to another, different business challenges. Little I knew of how fascinating the overall journey would be and the challenges I would be encountering and the tremendous learning and the richness of experiences I would be having. So, yeah, how could I have even imagined as a Romanian that I would become the CEO of a global company?
Not just that, though. You became CEO at quite the time. It was about 20 years in to your journey with
Yeah,
Avon.
yeah,
We're talking
20.
about
Yeah.
January 2020. The business is in a bit of a hard place. Avon had been bought out and they were looking for a new CEO. But you weren't thinking about going into that role, were you?
No, I thought this is a new chapter and maybe finally this is my time after 20 years to diversify industries and do something else. I was ready to step out. And there were 3 candidates for the role, 2 internal, 1 external, all very good professionals. We knew about their application, we knew about their assessment. So we are in a limbo in a way. For 3 months, we're waiting that one of them will be already nominated and we will be ready to start a new chapter. So we even had a small bet house in the company. Yeah, each with their own favorite. And then a week before the expected announcement, board of Natura called me to go to Brazil. I assumed that because I was a veteran in the business and because I worked in so many clusters from Middle East to Russia to New York, and I knew most of the people, I thought, okay, they've selected a new CEO and they need me to be supporting this transition with the knowledge of the engine room of the company, let's put it this way, so to accelerate the transformation. So, of course, I went there to talk to them and to pledge my support while also being open with them that my time is coming to diversify my professional career. I got to Brazil and they told me that the part of their due diligence, as they went in each and every of our top markets around the world, from Philippines to South Africa to Latin America, they kept hearing my name in the projects that people have mentioned or their own career stories. And they came to a conclusion that after 20 years in the company, they knew pretty much all that they needed to know about the impact I could add. And because Avon needed a dramatic transformation, they needed a leader that people could trust. So they asked me to be the CEO instead. And I initially refused the role. I left Brazil telling them no, because I was not convinced at that moment in time they realized how dramatic the shift should be, that Avon could not continue being the traditional direct selling. For Avon to be a vibrant choice, it was a lot about brand repositioning, as well about changing the business model, which for traditional direct selling, it's like a taboo subject, yes?
Yeah.
So I was not convinced they would be supporting such a dramatic shift as I envisioned. So I initially said no. I went back, so I traveled back home. And after 24 hours, exactly as it took my travel, I got another call and they said, look, we are all by your side. The entire board is by your side to support that vision. So I really couldn't say no. And I was extremely honored and in a way privileged to take on this historical transformation for Avon. And now Avon is an omni-channel, fresh, again, beauty brand and back to be a sustainable, profitable business.
Fantastic. You took over at a time, though. Obviously, you spoke about the dramatic transformation that was needed, but you were also taking over a business that was going into COVID. And in
Yes.
particular, a business that, as you mentioned, was very focused on, at the time, personal relationships. When personal relationships wasn't going to work, let's talk through that transformation and what you had to do during it. Like, is it true that you had 2 weeks to select the new executive team?
Yeah.
Wow.
2 weeks. So it was a week before the announcement. Then we went to the New York Stock Exchange to list Natura & Co as a group now. So we ring the bell together. And then I had exactly 2 weeks to find my executive team because all the executives were out the door with this transition.
Wow.
I knew I don't have too much time. Second, I knew, because I grew up in the company, I knew very well people who add value and people who would just check in, check out from their job. So it was not a too difficult choice. I made some mistakes, as it happens, because at the end, my enabling team, this is how I like to call them, not executive team, the 14 people. And out of these 14, I did make some mistakes. But altogether, I would say the speed and decisiveness has greatly helped the team. Little I knew that in just 2 months, because I took over the role in January, and in March the lockdown happened, which was unexpected for all of us. And you're right, we had that moment in time, 5 million representatives all around the world, all connected and heavily dependent on these personal relationships, not just with us, but as well actually with their customers. And not being able to meet their customers, especially because at that time Avon was just a traditional direct selling with with just online presence, but not really a compelling digital experience. It was quite of a shockwave to the company. So we had to reinvent, and this is where community, I would say, community spirit always prevails. Because if people are committed to something and they passionately believe in something, and if it's not just a transactional connection, people will always find ways to reconnect. So it was not just a top-down finding new ways to be connected with familiar representatives and connect them with their customers with new technology tools and enablers. It was them who reinvented their way. They created WhatsApp shops. They created Facebook Live, shopping sessions. So even before we had the systemic innovation, they have already been a step ahead of us, many of them. So it was a humbling experience, honestly, with the love that was outpouring. and the connections we had with women around the world.
Were you surprised by how quickly everyone adapted to that new model, considering the business for decades had been based on these one-to-one or one-to-few experiences and now going completely digital? Were you at all surprised by that? And two, were there people that were unwilling to adapt, or were most of that workforce very eager to evolve?
It's amazing. I mean, you see lots of studies in neuroscience showing the adaptability and agility of a brain which is faced with a threat or an opportunity. We had both. The threat was clear. Avon was already struggling at the beginning of 2020. We're not doing well. Even if we had this new partnership and being part of the Natura, that brought new hopes for investors to fix the business. So when the pandemic started, it was yet a new reason to worry. And the other one was the opportunity as such for our representatives around the world was still a meaningful way for them to create a healthy income stream when there were no other opportunities as well, through different means. It's true. So if it was a surprise, of course, we learned along the side because there was no playbook, Tom, no playbook. I think for any leader out there, no matter the industry, no matter their jobs or their professional endeavor, they all have had to adapt to new ways to learn, connect, and perform their duties. And there was no difference in our case. So yes, it was a shockwave for the organization. We found ways to reconnect. I think here is where the emotional, the engagement flow of the way engaging flow of information are these critical enablers to keep people committed, to keep people emotionally dedicated to what's going on, to give that extra energy when things are not yet set. Because it was a very tough transformation, really painful. I mean, imagine we had, first of all, financially to get healthy again and to release, to be able to find new sources of investment in technology, to reposition the brand, to innovation, new packaging, sustainability. I mean, we are talking about at least $170 million
Wow.
that are needed to revamp this business, just to bring it to a survival stage, not to mention making it a vibrant choice. So we had to find this money in our own value chain. Therefore, we completely changed the organization structure, the manufacturing footprint, even at a structural level, the way we operated globally. We delayered the organization from 11 layers to 4, maximum 5. Simplify the operations from simplify the way people related to each other, from an egocentric hierarchical organization to a network-based organization. So all this meant painful change, extremely painful. There was no stakeholder in the company, from shareholder to associate to representative to customer, who wouldn't feel the pain of transformation. Yet, because of I would say, the magnitude of our dream, the magnitude of what we wanted to achieve, I called it from the very beginning, the very first day, that our vision is to become an omni-channel company. With all the fear for the change, people were enthusiastic about doing something different.
And you were obviously very successful at evolving the organization. During that time, how would you say that you evolved and your leadership evolved?
Well, one learns a lot through hardship. And there were moments, I mean, it's much easier now to tell the story when it's in the past. Yes, we are great narrators of our past. And somehow we find meaning in almost everything. But the reality is that there were not just many days, there were periods where it had been very difficult to see the light. Because we had hundreds plus 100 projects in motion. Some were doing very well, some were stuck in bottlenecks. We had additional crises, severe ones, like from cyber attacks to the war, yes, in Russia and Ukraine, where we had a significant part of our business with people being impacted on multiple fronts. So the anxiety and the limited patience of the shareholders is who wanted this transformation to take place, if possible, yesterday, and to already see the results today. So if you put all these tensions into the system, you understand that the friction and the overall pressure on any leader, and I'm not just the only one who have been through this experience. By my side have been all the leaders in my organization. Um, we all evolved, and through lots, I would say, rather through pain then through success. We didn't allow ourselves too much time to celebrate all the small wins. As opposed times, heads down to really tackle the next piece of transformation or the next challenge, or and in parallel managing crisis. I think it gave me lots of humility, understanding, Tom, that I can never succeed alone, and it's never about me. And I actually don't count as a person. That my role is to be an enabler, a connector, and it's all about co-creating value in a way that everyone feels part of the game. Everyone feels they play the game and they own their game. And you build that sense of partnership towards the same goal, that we all serve a goal, serve a purpose, that it's about the why before you talk about the what, in order to get that emotional engagement. I also learned resilience to dimensions I have never imagined that one could go, from emotional to even physical, because these kind of roles where you change the time zone from Brazil to Philippines and back to, I don't know, London almost in 1 week, and everywhere you have to offer the best you could to people around yourself. I think all of these traits somehow give me that understanding that value can only be created as a collective, and that collective should be as diverse as possible. Because, and when I talk diversity, I don't talk just culture, race, or gender. I'm talking diversity of perspectives, like from young, very young, junior to senior, different upbringings. I mean, really cultivate and provoke even that diversity of opinions, especially nowadays when world is evolving so fast. So this is not just about the Avon's transformation. This is about every initiative out there, from a startup to a big corporation. There are no prescriptive playbooks any longer. Therefore, diversity of opinion, it would be enriching. And then what I think is that I stayed curious, because there is so much learning, even through adversity, even through pain, even through a series of failures, one after another, that are really killing one's ego. You discover the beauty of treating it like an experience and like a learning. And then if you start looking at it with curiosity, it becomes less daunting and it's more uplifting. I don't know how to explain it in a way that doesn't sound masochist, honestly.
I was
But
just going to say
something
that.
like when you turn pain into a fuel, um, I realize that sounds quite daring, but that's the reality. And learn how to do that. I learned
Amazing.
to turn failures into curious exploration and learning.
I think we see that a lot with the highly successful people. I mean, to be honest, both in business and in athletics, where they can turn that pain, that loss, that I didn't get it right this time, into that fuel to succeed at the next time, as opposed to the downward spiral of thinking I'm not
Oh,
good enough. It's that
exactly.
I can get even better. Clearly, you continued to get better. And Avon is a resounding success. And you spent 4 years with the pain, with the evolution, with making the business not just, stand on its feet, but thrive. 4 years is a long time. Was there any particular moment during that period where you thought, you know what, I want to change?
Was my plan from before that. Remember, when I was already 20 years in the company, so before I became a CEO, it was already a plan for me to um, diversify my portfolio of activities and diversify my learning and impact. So it was already there. For years, I was thinking about it. I had so many other interests in neuroscience, in tech, AI, and I wouldn't have the time to do all that. Of course, at the end, I couldn't say no to the role of CEO, and I stayed committed to deliver what I promised, which was the core transformation. And now it continues under the extremely talented leadership of my successor. But I told my board a year before I stepped down that it's time for us to focus on my succession. And I'm glad really they trusted my choice as a successor. And we had an impeccable transition to the new leader. So yes, it was my intent. I was turning 50. I was reaching this symbolic 25 years anniversary. I thought this is the moment, to leave when I felt I'm at my prime. I still have the energy and the appetite and curiosity to do so many other things, so many more other things, and leave behind a legacy I was still proud of.
You said you wanted to do other things and you have this hunger to keep learning. But when you were stepping down, was there something specific in your mind that you wanted to do, or was it just to give yourself time to find out what that thing is?
I knew clearly my areas of interest, and these were areas like continue my learning and as well having impact in areas like technology,
Mhm.
and as well continue following the same compass of supporting women in their leadership, and as well in all walks of life. And with these were my clear, I would say, chosen paths. But the rest would have been open. I knew that for a while I would not be exploring getting back into an executive seat. I wanted to have a plural portfolio. And this is where, when you have a clear why and clear purpose, it's easy to find activity that would fulfill that meaning and be gratifying and rewarding. So this is how I joined the Angel Academy. I became an angel investor supporting female founders. I continued being a consultant and an advisor, both for beauty industry, for direct selling, and as well for tech, especially when it comes to transformations. It's all about the interest, and the businesses that I invest in, as an example, that I'm advising on, are mainly in tech and deep tech, and I founded by women.
Fantastic. Angel investing, you mentioned, was a part of that, and you joined Angel Academy. Did you know much about angel investing before you got involved with Angel Academy, or was it something that kind of fell in your lap?
I mean, I heard it, and no, I didn't know a lot, to be honest. I mean, I knew about M&A because part of my own Natura & Co board, we had a division that was looking to um, make meaningful acquisitions in beauty industry, and I was part of some of those assessments. So I was aware about the process of due diligence. I was as well part of the entire process of creating a synergetic approach with the Body Shop, Aesop, and Natura, as we are all part of the same group. So I know the technical side of it. I knew a little bit about entrepreneurial spirit because at the end we developed this retail franchise system for beauty entrepreneurs around the world. We are supporting our Avon representatives to build up their own career with Avon. So I knew those elements. Yet about being myself an angel investor, it was only with the Angel Academy that I've had the first experience. And it has been so far an amazing ride.
Mm, I'm sure it has. And I'm very curious, you've got this fantastic experience with Avon where you learn so much from a global scale. I'm wondering if we can talk about how you apply that at a startup scale, because it's quite a different environment. So you started in sales. We'll tap into sales first. And you grew in Avon from having a small team to managing 5 million sales representatives, quite a big team. When you're looking at the sales plan for like a small business, how are you critiquing that on that scale versus when you were at Avon looking at it on a global scale?
I mean, at the end, you don't look at the numbers because in these big corporations, you do have by multipliers of 1,000 or 1,000,000. Yes, the numbers have the numbers. What was my initial, I would tell you, my initial challenge, and it was all about me. I had to deal this with into my own development. It was a weakness in a way, is that because for many years I was surrounded by top-notch professionals and external consultants. You always get to see in your business assessments very polished and complex and compelling financial scenarios. Yes. So you do have an army of finance analysts and internal, external, legal. You do have from all functions top-notch people to bring the best of the knowledge and information, and the templates you are working with are set like for this size of the business. Yes. So when you work with a startup, somehow you have to reframe the expectations that you will be working with very basic scenarios. Sometimes in very early stages, they are not even able to have a proper forecast. And the assumptions are most of the times they miss the evidence that would be a minimum requirement. So I had to reframe the way I looked at the businesses and the criteria and for my own decision-making process to analyze the potential of the business. It's extremely different.
Let's talk about it though. I'm very curious into how you do approach these businesses.
So I'm very lucky because with Angel Academy, we have this opportunity to also do the due diligence by ourselves. The community of investors at Angel Academy is extremely diverse. They come from all walks of life with a very rich professional background. And there is no politics, no hierarchical setup. So we all come together with exactly same mission and same purpose, which is to obviously find the biggest potential out there from all the pitches, and as well support the founders to maximize their impact and their potential. So I love the fact that to do due diligence. I'm usually getting in the segments of commercial strategy, sales, marketing, market evaluation, or even financial evaluation. We are always 2 or 3 investors working a certain segment from the due diligence memo, which is at the end serving all investors to assess that potential investment. And that gives me an opportunity to have a direct connection with the founder and their early team and understand their vision. I'm looking less at the overall financial structure as I'm looking more of the power of their idea and their ability to execute. I think this would be the 2 key areas that I have in focus every time, which for a big corporation, you don't question the ability to execute. I mean, that's a mandate, that's a minimum to be required. You look at how solid the business case is, the hypothesis to ensure there are no surprises, that the forecast is accurate, and that you have the optimal resource allocation. I mean, there are multiple other criteria that you look at. So for an early funder, you do use your instinct to understand first, is the idea going to create a distinct value proposition? That's my first thing. If yes, then is it patentable? Is it easy to replicate or not? And then third was the ability to execute. And in ability to execute, I'm looking at their team and the team skills or the founder skills, where they are or when they ask for capital. And what, given the market context, was their ability to achieve what they want to achieve.
On that ability to execute, having taken a business yourself from almost bankrupt through COVID, through executive team changes, you've obviously have a fair amount of resilience yourself. How do you judge resilience, or how can you test resilience in these founders?
There are subtle signs. You see how they react to challenge in the room. If they cannot cope, then you can see sometimes there are very, very subtle signs. Could be even small body language gestures, not just the way they respond or the way they listen or the way incorporate feedback. But if you see they lose their patience or they are not there or disconnect at the mere challenge of one investor, you understand that resilience is really low. And then you would wonder, okay, so what do they do with the real challenges in the business? A provocation coming from investor, it's nothing compared to the real business challenges. So this is what I'm really looking. I pay lots of attention to the founders who pitch for their startup. I'm looking at their body language a lot.
What are some of the other more subtle red flags that put you off wanting to invest in a business? I mean, there's obvious ones, but are there any other subtle ones that you'd
Yeah,
mind sharing?
I had one, honestly, this was quite recently. And it was one of the businesses that pitched to Angel Academy. I think we, at the end, it ended up not continuing with us. But I was one of the first who really stepped back, because during one, I would say, very important call when we were talking about financial projections and data was not showing too much of consistency, she kept telling us that, oh, this is an old file, this is an old file. But that was our last meeting where we could make a call about the overall financial assumptions. So to keep saying that this is an old file, let me send you the new one, the updated one, showed that she was not prepared for the call. We didn't get, by the way, the updated one. And moreover, during the call, speaking about the subtle body language, at one moment in time, while we are having a debate with her fractional CFO, she just took over her phone and she was having a conversation, because obviously she was very engaged in that conversation on her phone, actually written, yes, text messages. And you could see she was completely disconnected from the meeting and engage into that conversation when we were having a pretty heavy debate of to be or not to be their investors with her fractional CFO. So to me, that was a big red flag.
That's definitely a good one as well.
And by the way, the idea behind that startup, top notch. Really very strong idea, very innovative. But with that kind of attitude of not really listening, being engaged, it's very difficult to attract partners long term.
Let's stick with that then. So we talked a little bit about red flags, but what are the key things you're looking for in the founders?
I mean, I'm looking first of all for passion, engagement, and I'm happy to invest solely in female founders. I don't want to create any kind of stereotype, but and if they have a male co-founder, maybe even better, or if they have a diverse team as well, even better. Because to me, when you have a healthy mix of gender and perspectives, is when we get the overall optimal governance and best decisions. So I'm looking at that mix to be as diverse as possible. I love female leaders as well, because they come not just with that resilience, but many women are natively wired to manage paradoxes and deal with uncertainty in a much more. So that's why I believe in this healthy partnership at all times. So when it comes to resilience and humility and commitment, here is where I score generally. Again, I'm not trying now to create like a recipe for every founder out there, but generally I score women better. And I'm looking for this passion, enthusiasm for their idea, first thing. Second, the applicability of that idea, the understanding that to make it commercial, it does require a certain strategy and structure and discipline around the actions and the way they are translated into financial expectations. And then it's about the listening. I mean, the way, if they are curious, if there is no obvious curiosity, I would have a phobia to partner people who lack or have a depressed curiosity.
I'm keen to understand, given how much I've learned from you just in this conversation, how has your angel investing philosophy evolved since you started investing? Clearly, you're someone who absorbs information left, right, and center. So what have you taken on board and how have you shifted your approach to angel investing?
With every new investment, I'm not only learning about new industry. I went back to my chemistry lessons to speak about to learn about polymers and the way they can be treated to have antimicrobial properties. I went back to some of my physics classes to learn about the sensors, looking at one of the investments we've had in a deep tech. So I'm extremely grateful for the diversity of my current portfolio, which is not small any longer. I invested quite a lot over the past year and a half. And I have a series now of startups in edutech, fintech, health tech, and deep tech that are extremely rewarding experiences. And with everyone, I'm not just acquiring new technical knowledge, but I'm as well learning about new types of commercial strategies from B2B to B2C, from licensing strategies to manufacturing strategies. And with every new adventure, you have a new personality of a founder, new ways they need you, not just as an investor, but as well as an advisor. So it's a very gratifying experience for any accomplished professional who would have some capital to invest. I would highly advise them to get hands-on and have at least a part of their portfolio with this way of sharing back and gain back, and of course transforming everything into a meaningful experience.
You mentioned before that when you left Avon, you weren't really interested in another kind of big corporate executive job. Given all your learning with the startups that you're investing and involved with, do you think you'd start your own business one day? Not a consulting business, but a startup in technology or...
Absolutely. I never say no to new areas, and I'm learning so much now from startups. I see well-being altogether. It's a fragmented industry with fantastic potential of growth for the next decades. And I do see a world evolving with a higher demand, a more sophisticated demand into well-being, not just devices, but supplementation, nutrition, health overall, management, and as well immersive experience like escapism. So I am looking at these areas, and I have few ideas. So maybe one day I will be allocating the energy and the time to start up my own.
Well, I know a network and a fund that would probably
Yeah. Yes.
chew their hand off to be able to invest in a business that you started. Uh,
Yeah.
Coming back to your investing, we talked a bit about what you look for in the companies. I'm wondering how involved you like to be after you invest. Are you quite active in the businesses, or do you play
I
more of
am
a passive role?
yesterday I met with one of the founders I recently invested in. I'm on demand. That's the difference in between being a full-time executive and an advisor and an angel investor. You are on being on how can I say, like a la carte, yes, menu. You are there, one of the dish. So do they need you? They would order you. They don't need you, they don't. As an executive, you have to be proactive and make sure you are on top, in control and making sure that people are fully enabled and it works. Here, I offer my knowledge and expertise, and pending their needs, the founders coming back and say, "Hey, I would actually want to meet and I want to talk to you about either commercial strategy or a certain deal they want to make." So I'm there at their disposal, if they wish.
It's given all the experience that you bring, if they had to pay for that, I'm sure you would be a very expensive resource. So it's very nice that they feel they can ring you up and ask you
Yes.
questions.
Like every professional, especially at this moment in my life where I think I've accomplished a lot, and I'm at that moment where I'm more keen right now to give back. I do have a significant portion of my time allocated for this kind of activities, and they will continue this way for the rest of my professional life.
Yeah, it's lovely to hear. Curious, given you've been out of the role for 18 months now, what keeps you up at night now, given it's not the success of Avon?
Oh, the world, I would say the world, the macro situation, the worst, the political, social unrest globally, the fact that humanity doesn't seem to learn from history. And I keep asking myself how those war rooms, situation rooms, how diverse is the thinking there to make sure we don't take the wrong decisions for the future of humanity. So I think this is the only worry I have. Of course, then I have no worry for as a mom, for my son, that he has as well the right environment for him to build his own career and own journey through life, like every parent out there. So these are normal worries, like every woman, every person. I do not have in this moment anything else to keep me up at night. So that's the beauty, I would say, of ending the right time an executive career and have a plural portfolio.
Thank you for that. I'm very conscious of your time, so I always like to end the show with a few rapid fire questions.
Let's see.
Not too much thinking, just the first thing that comes to mind.
Let's see.
So first one, what's one question you must always ask founders before investing?
I would ask them, where they see, what they dream that their business will be one day, why the world needs their business.
What's one of the most undervalued founder skills?
Humility.
What's the best investment advice you've received since becoming an angel?
Diversify.
What's the best book you've read recently?
Oh, recently it was The Entangled Life of the Mushroom.
Oh,
Which
explain it.
which is an amazing book, by the way. It's amazing. It's showing how amazingly intelligent is our ecosystem and the fungus network that created it, almost like the internet for all trees and plants on Earth. It's amazing book. So yeah.
Quite apt since we were talking about network effects earlier. So I will put that one in the show notes. And then lastly, let's fast forward 5 years. Let's call it 10 years. You're looking back on your angel investing journey. Hopefully you've had some good exits from then. But beyond that, what are you hoping you've achieved through your investing?
Impact. I mean, that the founders I supported would be happy with the impact they've created, the value they've created.
Wow. Yeah. I couldn't say thank you enough. It's been absolutely a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you.
I'm hoping maybe in a few years, when you've got a few more years under your belt as angel investing or have started your own business, we can revisit this. But for anyone who wants to learn a bit more about you and what Angel Academy are doing, what should they do? Where should they go?
LinkedIn. I have a good presence on LinkedIn. I've always keep people updated with what I'm doing and as well what I'm curious about and what I want to learn. LinkedIn is my platform of choice.
Well, I think we're already connected, but I will definitely be following you if not. So for one last time, thank you so much for joining us, and we will speak again soon.
Very nice of you, Tom, and I really love your questions, and good luck both with the fund you've created with Angel Academy and as well with the impact you want to make in the world.
Well, that's it for this episode of Angel Insights, and I do hope you've enjoyed it as much as I did. A big thank you again to Angela for sharing her journey with Avon and now as an angel investor. If you'd like to find out more about what we do, please head on over to www.SyndicateRoom.com. And as always, please like, subscribe, share, and tune into the next episode. We'll see you then.